Hello, everyone. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Hey, Summer. I am doing amazing. How about yourself?
Oh, good. Okay, wait a second. Who do I see out there? Are you out there?
Thursday romper room.
It's like romper room. Hey, folks, I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well today, Jen.
I'm doing great.
And
Amazing.
that's awesome. And hope all of you out there are doing great today. Today's a very special show. Today, we're leaving the floor open for you. We want you to ask us your questions that you have for us, either related to life, love, money, entrepreneurship, you name it. Today is our Q&A open session. And yeah, so that's what we're doing today. And I always say the best shows are when you're involved, when you're participating, when you're asking questions. We want to hear from you. We really want to hear from you and what you have to ask us about life, love, money, entrepreneurship, whatever else, finances, money. So here we are just for you. And I'm going to turn this over to you, Jen, so you can say some stuff. I'm trying to look for on Twitter to make sure that I don't miss anybody's comments. I'm trying to look
at that.
Right
I'll
now.
talk. I'll just, because I feel like we're just talking to each other. So, hey, whatever.
Right?
Replay, you get to totally see this so unscripted, but hey, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So while she's doing that, it's one of those, I feel like, when you're on Zoom or whatever, and then the camera is off, it's like, let me go do this admin stuff.
Yeah, right.
But I'm listening. Halfway.
I'm here.
I know you're here. So
I'm with you.
For those of you who are catching the replay, I know we're a little wacky, but that's okay. This is why we do this, because it comes to show that you're just adaptable.
Yeah.
You make it work however that shows up. So I'll just give you some background on me. And we just got off our Instagram. So as you know, we always go on Instagram Live first. And we do that every Thursday before this platform at 2 p.m. Eastern. So super, super fun if you go there. And so we were just basically reintroducing ourselves for those of you who are new. You haven't seen us before. I'll just give you a background on who I am and what I do. And so sometimes people ask like, oh, who does your graphics? So I have like this double life. Okay. So I actually do have a background in design, graphic design to be specific. You know what's so funny, Summer? Just listen half actively. So it's like funny because people go like, oh, designer, like interior. And I was like, you know what? I need to be more specific.
So she's a graphic designer.
So so all the posts we do, I do anything visual. I do anything you're reading. This woman does the amazing job of the content and copywriting and whatnot. And so, that's the one thing that's so beautiful about partnership when done right. You know your strengths, you know where you're good, and then you let the other person do what they're good. But that's also something, in this entrepreneurial journey where you have to recognize what do you need to look out for when you're looking for people to add to your team. Yes. And I will add to this too. I'm also part of a wealth team. And the funny thing it's not funny, but one of the things I think was so interesting was that there's about 16 of us, right? And we took that Enneagram test, love languages test. Like we had all these tests, and we're all nerdy. So that's what's so awesome. And so we literally have a spreadsheet somewhere where you can tell what personality type each person is.
Yeah.
So it's so funny from a standpoint when you're looking like what kind of people we have on the team. It's like they made joke. We've made joke. Oh gosh, not another ENFJ. It's like too many ENFJs. Like we all like to talk. We all like to be presenters. It's like we need more technical. We need more, visionary. We need more of this. But that's a great exercise for those of you looking to build teams or looking for. Maybe you're not even there yet. Maybe you're just like, hell, man, I'm by myself, but I want somebody else with me. That's something good to pay attention to. Miraculously, her and I are so freaking alike. It's almost comical.
Yeah, it is.
We balance our strengths really, really well. I mean, we even have the same toothbrush really well.
Oh, I know. And I love what you mentioned there about, how you're part of that, a different financial group. And Jen talks about money all the time. This is her strength. This is her expertise. She talks about graphic design. That is a huge strength. You can see our own graphics related to life, love, and money that she does for us, which are amazing. And it just, graphics are so important. So we both come from these different areas of strength. And so I love what you're talking about regarding these different personality types. Like you said, like those 4 characteristics, the EFMP or da, da, da. And those really stem from like what is called the MMPI. So the Minnesota Multiphasic Inventory. And so, so when you got to get deeper about, where they draw these tests from, it's really interesting when you go through these little inventories about your background and your personalities, where they come up with this information, because I've done a lot of studying, with a doctorate about personality. And that's why I know, like when I met Jen, I knew that we would just mesh. We laugh a lot. We are very focused. We are very, efficient. Most days.
The only time we're not is like we're just tapped out. We're done.
Yeah. It's
that's like time to get away and do day tripping, get away for the weekend, because at that point your brain's just gone.
Exactly. And so it's like I just knew. So let's go to the point where I like your story, and I think you tell it best about how we came together and how that all happened and where we are today.
Yeah, I love this story. This is like so fun. I feel like we're just having need some cocktails. But,
right? Okay, cheers. Water.
It's water now.
I know, water.
It's water.
Not hard water, just water.
It's actually water. Usually it's not. So anyhow, Summer and I, we actually were introduced by a mutual friend. Shout out to LeBron.
Oh,
LeBron. I'm seeing LeBron and James in my brain, but it's LeBron. And so that's our mutual friend, and so he introduced us through LinkedIn. And I gotta say, LinkedIn, if you're listening, you owe me, because you guys, I have created the best partnerships through LinkedIn. Love of my life and best partner in the world. So hello. So anyway, I'm coming after that. So anyway, we got connected through LinkedIn through our friend, and I was able to be a guest on her Core Women. If you're not following Core Women, KORE Women on Instagram, and she has an amazing podcast where she's continuously interviewing these incredible women with these amazing entrepreneurial stories or whatever it is that they're doing. So tons of inspiration. So she has been running that podcast show. What episode are you on, Summer? On Core Women?
140, 150 something. Wow. It's just beyond me now, because it's been 3 years and lots of episodes and amazing women sharing their journeys and their stories and great wisdom and strategy, which it's critical for all of us to listen in, because you kind of lean in, because there's so much to learn.
Yes. So especially if you're somebody who like, I think I have this idea. We have programs that are coming up, but also tap into Core Women in the meantime. Check out her, go to Apple and, iTunes and leave a review. She's got tons of amazing interviews. So Core Women, KORE Women. So anyway, so she had that. And so I was a guest, and this was before, I think it was in March, because she was actually here on the West Coast at the time promoting her book. And I was supposed to connect with her, but I couldn't meet up with her because she was up north. I'm in Southern California, LA. So I had to wait, and then I ended up getting on the show, and then the whole entire months went by, right? And so this is literally almost a year ago. Yeah.
A year? Oh my gosh. Yes.
Almost a year ago. It's so crazy.
We were supposed to be together too.
No, I don't even want to think about it. I was supposed to be in a pool house. Yeah. Anyways, so she contacts me after months. We totally hit it off, and I think we did 2 episodes. I think.
Did we do 2 episodes?
I think we did. Yeah.
Maybe, you know what we did? I think we did 1 episode on Core Women and 1 episode live.
There you go.
Live on IG.
So I still got 2 hits. So we totally hit it off. And so she calls me, and I'll never forget it, because I was driving to Timbuktu, which was like, I felt like I was practically going to another state, because California is so big. So I had all this time to talk on the road, because I was driving on the freeway, and this is during pandemic. So there was no traffic, but I was just driving forever. So she calls me and she's like, hey, I have this idea. And that's when she introduces this whole amazing idea. And it's just a thought. That's the part that was so crazy. It was just an idea. And sometimes, for those of you out there listening, like, sometimes that's all it is at that moment. Sometimes it's just an idea, because sometimes we think it has to be developed out. You hear like, oh, it's got to have your business plan. Like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just freaking figure it out on the way.
Yeah.
As you're going, it's like that crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
So she tells me about the Life, Love, Money show. It wasn't. She had the idea of the show, but then there was also another component where there was an academy. You know, because you start to think when you have these ideas, you think about it. Like if you're into Marvel comics, my man is totally into all that. Between him and Summer, I'm just like, man, I got like years of TV and movies to catch. Like, I'm gonna be 95 by the time I catch up in 2021. So, you know, there was like this idea of like, okay, so, you know, when you think about those types of things like Marvel comics or whatever, there's always a franchise, right? There's the movie, but then what can you make out of it? What's the merchandise? What's the franchise? What's everything that can come out of it? So it started off with this show. Hey, what if we can do this together? And none of it was developed out. It was just an idea. And she just kept saying throughout the phone call, think about it. And I was like, no, I'm in. Like, I didn't need to think about it, because that's how I think. I'm fire ready aim.
Yeah. She is.
That's how I am. I'm like,
she is.
I'll think about it later on. I'm like, maybe I didn't think about that. but I just follow my gut. I'm like, no, I love it. I love you. I'm into this. I don't know what it is, but let's do it. And sometimes that's all it takes. And I've over the years, I love Startup Life. I've been involved with different startups, different groups that wanted to do nonprofits that never even got through the 501c3 paperwork. I asked myself, like, what is it about me that I'm always asked to do these things out of nowhere?
You know, because I think you are one of those people, Jen, that are ready. Like, you're just like excited about something new. You're excited about being creative. You're excited about being engaged.
Yeah.
And that's something like Jen and I have in common. We both get really excited about, like, oh, that's something new. Oh, that's something fun. That sounds like
Shiny object syndrome.
I know. And here, because this is just such a, you know, when you get into something, you do realize that it's going to be a lot of work, but you're passionate about it. So it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. And it keeps, this is a beautiful thing about it. We are able to be creative within the sphere of the Life, Love, and Money show. And so I'll let you continue, but I just,
that's such a great addition to say. It's true, because when you're doing it based off of passion and you're doing it because you believe in this idea, even if the idea isn't fully fleshed out, your belief is going to take you so far. It's going to take you so far, because if you're going to be, I have to say this, if you're going to be one of those people who wants to, well, everything has to be perfect, I'm not sure, ain't jack going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to be waiting for freaking ever, because in order for you to figure out what needs to be corrected or done is you actually doing something and taking action. And so basically, you know, go back to the story. So she tells me about this thing. I didn't even know what it was. I was like, oh yeah, I love what, you know, I like you and I love you. So let's do it. and so here we are today. This week is the 47th episode. And it's so crazy. I still remember being on the freeway driving, and this was just an idea. And it makes me super excited, because there's so many of you out there that have an idea, but you're still sitting on it. You're still sitting on it. And so one of the things that Summer and I have developed, and we've talked about, you know, how can we best show up? How can we best serve? How can we best help people that follow us or that are looking to us or comment, and, you know, whatever. You start to analyze a lot of things that are happening around you. And we realize, like, you know what, who are we connected to? What do we love talking about? Like, what lights us up? And it's this emerging entrepreneur, the person that has this idea but hasn't taken that step. And so we're going to be having things that come up in regards to that, you know. So that's something that's super exciting to see happening, where we really want to support that person, but it's not all about the strategy. It is, that's important, and that's absolutely something you need to do, but how can you do this from a place of intention where it's backed up by passion, where it's backed up by, it's got the core values involved, it's foundational, and so that you feel good about it. If you don't feel this this yucky, it's not aligned, it's not congruent with who you are, because that's what for me personally, I will say, anytime I went straight to strategy or the widget that I think was going to take me there, it never worked, because I was skipping so many steps instead of focusing on like, wait a minute, I'm not even taking the time to figure out what aligns with me. Sometimes we're just brushing through that whole process, or we totally skip over it. And that's why I'm gonna challenge you to ask yourself, like, is that where you're at? Is that why it doesn't feel good with what you're doing, and you feel like you're just kind of floundering? Because maybe it's that you haven't gone through this process yet. So that's where we're at, and that's what we're developing, and that's what we're super excited about, because it feels good. This is why we look crazy. This is why we're like happy, because the things that we're doing today are in alignment with who we're connected to, who we love helping, what's the audience that we speak to. All those things are finally coming together. And I'm telling you from personal experience, like when things really start to, and I used to see coaches talk about this all the time, and I would be like, whatever, here we go again. But really, when you really experience it yourself, you're like, okay, they were onto something. They weren't just talking crap. And it's so true.
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely
true. It's true, but you have to know that you got to recognize whether you're not doing that or not for yourself. But when you do, even last night I went out with some friends that I used to work with years ago, and they even said, like, I've never seen you look so happy. Because things are finally falling into place where they're supposed to be. Because I stopped last year. That's why pandemic was such a blessing to me, because I actually freaking stopped and paused to ask myself, like, what am I doing? Are the things that I'm doing in alignment with my values? But here, you can't even answer that question for yourself if you haven't even identified what those things are. This is why you all need Summer's book. Do you have it? Flash that up. That's why you need that book, page 57, and figure out your core values. Because when you do that, that's when you're going to understand, like, oh, yes, I'm on track.
That's right.
If you don't, this is why, and I was there for years. I was there for years, especially the years prior to last year. It was like this, I'm trying this new idea. I'm trying this new program. I'm trying this new this. And it, don't lie to yourself. You know it. You feel this yuckiness that's not, you think it's almost like you're fooling yourself, that you think just because you invested into some program or some, I don't know, software, you think that all of a sudden it's going to work, and it's not. And stop lying to yourself. It's not working because you haven't done page 57 in the book.
Your values.
Yeah, so that's what I'll say. So here we are. In about 3 weeks, we're hitting our 50th episode.
50.
We're up 2 on our 1-year anniversary, and so it's just, it is amazing for me. And this is the thing, I will end with this, and I got to pass it back to you, is that, for me, what I realized, you have to ask yourself, how do you work best? I realize for me, I work best when there's another person. If it's up to me by myself, we're gonna take the scenic route because I have shiny object syndrome. I thank God for this one, because she'll be like, "Hey, did you do this? Hey, just want to remind you, when do you think?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm so glad she's saying this, because now I remember I'm supposed to do this." So it's like, you got to know how you operate. You got to know you, because we are. I don't even know how we get stuff done, because we are both shiny object syndrome. We got these great ideas, and she'll leave me a message, and I'll be like, no, we got to finish this first.
I think a lot of that has to do with, at least for me, going back, like being raised by a single mom who told me, you have to get a job, you have to work, you are responsible for your well-being, and it goes back to having this balance, because I can get thrown off by, oh, that looks so exciting. Oh, that looks really like a lot of fun. Oh, and yet I still have to follow through and complete something, a task. And that we've done that in our lives. And that's something else. Like somebody once told me, Jen, that my degrees didn't matter. It didn't matter. Like they didn't mean shit. And I was just like, oh, okay. So that's interesting, right? Because to me, when they said that, it wasn't just about the education component, but it was all those years of working, accomplishing, strategizing, focus, all those elements that education may not be valued by that person, but all those other elements of learning and surviving and understanding life were critical. Were critical. And I think that, because it took me a long time to kind of like swallow that. Like when this guy said that, and I was like, what does he mean by that? Wow. And then
that's not what I would have said in my brain.
I know. And I just sat there going, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, everything that it took to do that, to accomplish those things, working 30 hours a week, taking 17 units a semester, having parents that weren't able to didn't financially support that was on me. Yeah. And that's where I learned how to focus. I learned how to, yes, I get excited about new things. Trust me, I'm right there with you, Jen. It's like, woo, yeah.
Let's I gotta say real quick. There have been times I show Summer a program. I want to buy this.
Yeah.
I want to buy this. There's a payment plan. I have to send it to her because thank God she will be like, okay, we don't have to, you don't have to do this right now. It's almost like talking me off the freaking ledge. And then like after that freaking cart closes, I'm so glad. Like, okay, I'm so glad I didn't just throw down $9.97 again. So yeah, I mean, I shouldn't even say this on the phone. Yeah, I have to ask her. I'm like, oh, Joe, I want this. I don't have a shopping problem with clothes and jewelry and software, all kinds of stuff. Like my
programs,
books and programs.
Yeah.
The self-help.
Thank God for Google.
Yeah, but please continue.
So, and Jen balances me out really well. And the most important thing here is that we're passionate about what we do and we laugh. We can laugh even on the toughest of days. We can still laugh. And even on the toughest of days, I've seen this woman still power through a ton of work.
This one doesn't sleep, so there you go.
And yet she might be like, oh my God, I'm just frazzled. But it's like, you don't see what happens behind the scenes, but we get the stuff done. Yeah. We get it done because we are passionate. We get it done because we want to offer value. Because this is, as she said, this is something we planned out step by step. Sometimes you just got to lean into your courage. Sometimes you just got to lean into that fear and see where that goes and then strategize as you go along. I asked business owners many times, like, where are you at today? How did you get here? And many things that I hear is I had to re-strategize. Yeah. And what I also realized, Jen, too, is by moving every so often because of being a military spouse, you learn how to lean into your courage. You learn how to be open to new ideas and new concepts and new environments a lot because you're put into those new environments. What I always told my husband is, you were so lucky. He was so lucky because wherever he went in the world, he had a built family. That family, and he always knew somebody. He always had the SOP of how he was going to do his job or how he was going to improve that, right? But for me, I didn't have that. So everywhere I went was a new SOP. It was a new job. It was a new this, because we had to be flexible as spouses being married to somebody in the military, because, we didn't have businesses online like we do now. It just wasn't the same. When we started out, when my husband went to boot camp, today we've got the internet. Today we've got these cell phones. Way back yesterday, we had letter writing. I
miss that to an extent. I think it's, I miss it.
but that's what we had. So it was like this whole hurry up. I want to know the answer. It wasn't there. Hurry up. I want to make a business, or I want to create a business. It wasn't there. But today, that opportunity is there. And this is what's so great. You and I were able to create that opportunity in this last year and create something, even when people, and I'm not minimizing this, it's been a hard time. It's been a hard time of transition, change, loss of jobs, death. I mean, you name it. And yet we were still able to pursue something that we loved and create something together that we're passionate about. So
yeah,
it's awesome. Like this year has been, outside of some little glitches, it has been awesome.
Absolutely. And I totally agree. It's just finding the passion, the thing that drives you, despite your environment, despite all the freaking crazy election politics, Delta, Sigma, Zeta, Beta, Delta,
variant,
Omega, variant flying around us.
Phi, Omega, Tau.
It's like you still push through. I think they're on Zeta now. Yeah, they're at the entire end of the Greek alphabet.
Right.
We were both in. You were in a sorority. I was in a service fraternity, so I had to memorize that whole thing. But it's
I have a little story about that. So it was Pledge Sneak, and it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm in my sorority. I'm the president of the sorority, and I get this knock. I had just gone to bed because, of course, you know me. I've been doing this little game of staying up late forever and writing papers and getting stuff done.
Yeah.
So it's like 2:30 in the morning. I just finished a paper. About 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, the door is like somebody's knocking on the door rapidly. And mind you, I'm blessed to have my own room because I'm president of the sorority at the time. Most people didn't have their own room.
Nice.
So it was like rapid knocking. And I was like, what's happening? What's happening? And they've woken me up out of my sleep. I cracked the door, and 3 sorority pledges are like, hey, we have an emergency. We need your help. We need to talk to you. And I was like, okay, just 1 minute. And I used to sleep in like these little shorts and like this tank top kind of a thing, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the next thing I know, I see these 3 heads above the pledges' heads, and they're guys. And I was like, what's happening? And they're like, Pledge Snake, right? And I was like, oh my goodness. So I'm like, okay, 1 minute, don't come in. Please don't come in. I have to get some clothes on. So I throw on a sweater. I have my retainer in. My hair is in a pigtail. I mean, like, you name it. I was like goofy. So
if you're just joining us, Summer's singing about as memory lane of her pledge, her sorority pledge week.
Pledge Sneak. So this Pledge Sneak. So, and I'm getting to this because of the Greek alphabet. So they take us and they blindfold us, and they take us in these cars down to the beach, and they line us up. And they're like, okay, now we want you all to recite the Greek alphabet. And I'm like, alpha, beta,
and that's as far as she got. C.
At 4:30 in the morning, that's as far as I was gonna go. So
yeah,
it was hilarious. Oh my God. Yeah. And they were like, of course, Summer would. It's that, and so they put me at the end of the line, and I was like, that's okay. I'm still president of the sorority.
I got my own room. I went back to sleep.
So, and trust me, let me put this out there. I always say this. You don't have to be the smartest, but a little bit of common sense and a little bit of brains will help you go so far. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to know your plan all the time. Lean in. Embrace what you have. Embrace your own talents. Your talents aren't somebody else's. And here's the other thing, folks. It comes from within. What you see happening outside of you, don't let that hold you back. Don't compare yourself, because a lot of times when we do that, it stunts our growth.
Yeah.
And it stops us from moving forward about our own ideas and dreams. And that is so sad when that happens, because you never know where that dream, that special idea, that will take you. Don't stop just because what you're seeing around you and all of this lifestyle marketing stuff is happening where, oh my gosh, I got in this boat in 2 months. Let me tell you, it usually doesn't the majority of us, it doesn't happen that way.
No.
When it does, hurrah, and I applaud you. But at the same time, is that your real purpose? Is that the value that you're looking at? So when we go back to the beginning of this conversation about when we start talking about values, it really does go back to understanding your own values and aligning whatever you do, whether it's a business, your relationship, whatever you choose, a job, it has to do with you and what's coming from within, not outside.
Yeah.
So start there first. Jen?
Yeah, I agree. One of the things I take away from this whole conversation most of all and take to heart is that many of us feel like especially if you're that type of person that wants all the details, you are destined to be an engineer. And I love you all. My father was an engineer, but sometimes we want to over detail it to death. Yeah. And the problem when we do that is that you won't ever take the step to take action because you're waiting for everything to be perfect. And one of the things, if you look at the people who are extremely successful, you'll notice in the languaging, in what they say, when they share their story of how it happened, they don't know what the hell is happening 10 minutes from now. They have the vision, but the steps, no, they just know, keep going. Yeah. Keep going. And I think sometimes we have to pay attention to, oh my gosh, are we stopping ourselves because we're waiting for everything to be perfect? One of the quotes that I started embracing years ago was, done is better than perfect.
Yes, like it.
Done is better than perfect. So maybe it's my nugget of the week. The other thing too that I also had to start embracing, because I'm a recovering perfectionist, is I got that from my engineer dad. Everything has to be perfect before we execute it. It's like, I'm not MacGyver, Dad. So love that show, by the way. It was on the other night.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, Richard Dean Anderson. I loved MacGyver when I was a kid.
Oh my God, you are hilarious.
I think I love it because I see what my dad does, and then I can like Jimmy rig certain things on, like with a paperclip or a rubber band. I do that. Like I can do it, and I think that's why I love that show, because I can be extremely creative and just do it. And I'm like, I think that's why that show inspires me. But anyway, I'm getting off course. So it's like, I told you squirrel, we're like that. But it's like we're waiting for everything to be perfect. And so something that I adopted, especially this year, especially with Better Wealth, like the wealth team I'm with, is like, because I do the design over there too, and it's like 80% rule. The 80% rule means if it's good enough 80%, run with it. If you're waiting to get to 100, 110, the chances are you're not going to execute. And if you don't even, it's better to execute on 80% than 0 of 100%.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's never going to happen. You're going to be constantly sitting on the sidelines. You're waiting for what? The planets to align? Are you waiting for this Jesus, the second coming? I mean, it's just never going to happen if you're just waiting for everything to align perfectly. You have to embrace, it doesn't have to be perfect. Action is better than waiting for perfection. And so that is something that I had to learn. And that's why, for me, when we're doing things, it's like, well, we have to test it. That's always like the answer now. Let's test it. Yeah. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how the market receives it. Let's see how our people follow it. Or maybe they don't like it. It totally can blow up in our face. And you also have to learn how to be okay with that. Once you start to realize like this is how it goes, you don't take it personally. Yeah. It's not a direct correlation and relationship to you as a person, and that is what's going to stop you from succeeding, because you're taking everything personally. You're thinking like, oh well, this didn't work. Everybody hates me. Nobody wants to. No, something in your process just sucks. You need to adjust it. It's that simple. Don't complicate it. So, and so going back to what Summer and I are working on, this is the stuff we love. We love it. We dream about it. We are so excited to support people that want to be on this journey, because it's like, you get to a point where you're just like, man, we overcomplicate crap. Yeah. It doesn't have to be that difficult.
Sometimes you just got to do it, and it starts to create itself. It starts to grow. It starts to develop. And if something doesn't work, as Jen said, something in your process isn't working. So just go back and look at your process. Let me tell you, I meet with people, ton of people every day, every week. So does Jen. And we hear the same stuff over and over. Like, why didn't anybody want my program? Why didn't anybody want my book? Or why is it so hard? Well, nobody said it was going to be easy, number one. That's number one. Number two, that resiliency that you build up, how you bounce back, tells you a lot about yourself, and you can do it. You've got everything you need inside of you to succeed. Everything you need is right within you. Here's the last thing I'm going to say besides our nugget.
Yeah.
Get connected with people that are doing similar things. Get connected and start growing your relationships. So for instance, I'm not necessarily going to ask my husband, who's not an entrepreneur, about a lot of different entrepreneurial type of things or subjects or factors or marketing or beta testing or that kind of thing. Why? Because he's not doing that stuff. He's doing a different type of job that is kind of has parameters that were built already that he goes into, that he applied for, blah, blah, blah. It's more traditional. As an entrepreneur, a lot of people like your family and your friends will be questioning you and saying, do you know what you're getting into? Or when you start making these different marketing, you start marketing your business or you start talking about your business a lot, they start shutting down and going, ooh, I feel uncomfortable, or this doesn't make sense to me. You could actually be doing A, B, and C and making a lot more money. But here's the thing. That may not be what I'm passionate about. The way that I perceive and how I want to create something from all that wisdom, knowledge, education that I've gained might look very differently in how I want to curate my journey. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean something traditional. So you're going to have to make those connections and networks with people that have like or similar ideas so that you can get the support. You can exchange ideas with those folks, and you can create not just networks, but relationships, because that's really key in this space of entrepreneurship. It's really very important. And on that note, yes, let's turn it over to our nugget. Let's go there.
Oh my goodness. Yes, let me find it.
All right, Missy, I'm going to go. Take it away.
Yeah, so my nugget of the day is, if you are in that space and moment where there's this idea, I want you to just stop and pause and ask yourself, is there something that you have been hanging on to for freaking ever and haven't taken action on it? And then I want you to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
You know, why haven't you? Is it fear? Is it you feel there's no resources? Is it as simple as like you don't think you can do it? And I want you to just sit with those feelings and identify that. And then I want you to consider being an emerging entrepreneur when we launch it. Because how much longer are you going to wait? Are you going to wait another 2 years? Are you going to wait another year? Are you going to wait another 5 years? So ask yourself if there's an idea that you have been thinking of, and that baby has been incubated for 3, like a freaking baby elephant, 24 months. So it's like, ask yourself if there's an idea that you haven't birthed yet, and then ask yourself, why haven't I done it yet? Why haven't I taken the leap? Like, what is holding me back? And then just identify that first, and then consider joining the emerging entrepreneur when we launch that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such a good question. And I'm going to kind of piggyback on that, because I think that's the core question I'm going to leave people with. But I also want to leave you with this one thought. It is never too late. It is never too late to curate your journey the way you want to see it, to live your dreams. It's never too late. Don't put an age on, oh, I should have done that when I was 25, or I should have done that when I was, 30. Well, you may not have had the wisdom or the insight or the education that you needed or wanted to actually start. Maybe today is the day you start, because today is the day you take that first step. If Jen and I didn't take that first step, we would be standing today where we started, questioning why. I have this idea, but where do I take it? I have this idea, but I'm too afraid. I have this idea, but I'm resistant to it because of why. And I think that question goes back to what Jen asked. Why? Why are you not starting that new project or launching that new idea that you're passionate about? What is stopping you? So take that inner look, take that time to do that introspection and write it out, talk it out, think it out, but don't let that be the block that stops you. Take the first step. The first steps are the hardest. They always say, like, oh my gosh, those steps, where are you now? How'd you get? It's those first steps. So honestly, lean into that courage, lean into your fear, and take that first step. Take those first steps. So that's it.
Love it, love it, love it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much for being here and offering your wisdom, insight, expertise. Thank you so much. I have the best co-host. I have the best partner. Right. So, and that's the other thing. Find a partner. Have fun.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. I swear, gosh, 90% of stuff would not have gotten done in my own individual life had I not been with this one. I'd be like, whatever. I'll wait till March of 2023. Yeah. When I have somebody pushing me, I'm like freaking on it, because I don't want to let somebody else down. Me, I'm like, I'm the biggest procrastinator. This is the problem. I work so well under pressure. And a lot of that also came from my experience working for the entertainment industry. Yeah. Like you got to be creative and think. There is no like, oh, I need to zen out. No. None of that is this. Like, you need to get that thing done. This was the running joke. When do you need it? By FedEx. 4:30 was 4:30 p.m. FedEx, because you had to print that thing out. You had to create whatever they wanted to do change. You had to roll that thing up. It was like a large format printer. It's like a 6 feet printout.
Yeah.
Wide. So length was indefinite, until the roll ran out.
Wow.
And then you had to roll it up, and then you had to put it in a box in a tube, and then you had to get it for FedEx. So I got so used to, it doesn't matter what was on your plate. Oh, we need it by 4:30 FedEx, by FedEx, by FedEx, by FedEx. So all
when do you need it by FedEx.
4:30 p.m.
Oh my gosh. Okay, FedEx, if you're listening, we need angel investors.
Yes. So deadlines, you just get used to it, and so it's such a psychological thing. But when you have somebody that you don't want to let down, and you remember what you're working towards and why you're doing this, even when you're tired, like, it's so different. It's so different than when you can't stand your boss or manager, or the people micromanaging you, and you're complaining in your brain, like, I'm not getting paid for this hour now.
Yes, absolutely.
It's different.
It is different.
So different. So anyways.
All right, my friends. All right. Have a great week. Join us back here next week when we're going to have a new topic. If you've missed any part of this, please go to our YouTube page, our Life, Love, and Money YouTube page. Subscribe, check it out, tell your friends, because seriously, there's so much good information that you may need or they may need. Pass it on. My ask. Pass on the information. Subscribe today, please. That would really help us out. All right. With that said, thank you, Jen. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching the Life, Love, and Money Show with Summer and Jen. Dr. Summer Watson is the owner of the production and coaching company Core Women, LLC, is a doctor of psychology, has a depth of experience working in both for-profit and nonprofit in human services and mental health, is a professional coach, seminar host, documentary film producer, and an author. Jen Fontania is a former financial advisor and now a certified money coach, speaker, and has published 6 books. She has worked with organizations such as the Walt Disney Company, Warner Brothers, Target, Goodwill, and the U.S. Air Force. She loves working with women and helps them master their money and mindset to empower them to build the ultimate life without worrying about money. Join Summer and Jen every week as they go live on the Life, Love, and Money Show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn.